I think I'll write that down. Russians meddling in the limb. My day.
Nice.
The only gold medal I got was flour. Remember gold medal?
Gold medal. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay. That's funny as hell. Nice.
I will wordplay the heck out of anything.
I love wordplay.
Hey, I do too. I don't know why there's this hierarchy in the world of comedy where, puns are the lowest amoeba on the comedy food chain.
I think Bazooka Joe did us in.
Yes, Bazooka Joe. I think so. Facebook people, we are live. You lucky dogs, you. Come on in, have a seat. It's like a wedding. If you're here for JT Davis, sit over there. If you're here for me, take up everything. Just kidding. I'm kidding. You'd think I have an ego or something, right? Just like, I'm kidding. This
You're
is the
loved.
day. This is the day we get to celebrate, not me. We get to celebrate JT Davis and his accomplishments in the world of comedy and life. I adore this Portland comedian. Yeah, I'm not going
I
to
love
call
you
him
too, honey.
Love you too, right back. So I'm going to read you a little bit about what he wants to talk about this time. He says he just bought a big yellow canopy and then he poured it out because that's just nasty. Don't you hate canopies that get all full of mucky, murky water? In Oregon, it happens.
Goes over great down south.
What's that?
It goes over great down south. Can't have a party without that one.
Everything goes over better in the South. I don't know where I'm going with that. What has he been doing lately? He's going to tell us. He's been keeping busy during COVID. How has he been? Some latest bits he's been working on. He's going to tell us. And he sent me some pics, and I forgot to do a slideshow presentation because I am an airhead, and I'm going to get a slideshow to you guys so you can see how wonderful he comes out on print and how animated he is. Look at him.
That's so cool. Thank you. In lieu of having the photos available, I can just recreate them for you.
Okay.
Something like that.
That would work. JT Davis is our guest on Comic Spot. JT, how's it feel to be on Comic Spot?
This thing in the world to me. I mean, this is the pinnacle. This is what I've been working hard for all my years. Thank you for being here to do this. This is really great that you offer this way for comics to be able to speak with you, to be able to speak with your audience, and still be able to have fun in comedy when not a lot of venues are open and ready for stand-up comedy yet. There are still some though.
Yes.
There's some diehard comedy people out there.
Yeah. People are doing sneaky things. They're like, I did comedy last night at an undisclosed location.
Right. With a mask and a bullhorn.
It's really hard for me to do comedy at a drive-in because in my day, if anybody honked, it meant they were horny.
You'd be happy to get that in one of your shows today, though, right?
You have to give me some roller skates so I can make sure to keep people happy.
I'm getting that mental picture right now. I've got it. Let me just hang on to that one for a little while.
Talk to me about Portland, Oregon, first of all, JT Davis.
I love this place. I would imagine that the rest of the world probably has a different view of us. That's something that we could thank the news for, I suppose. I don't know how much of it is true, how much of it is false, because I choose to stay a mushroom, and that's what keeps me happy. Instead of getting involved in all the mucky muck and the hoopla and any other cockamamie words you can think of. I love Portland. I actually grew up in Boring. I was up until I'd say 10 to 15, if I remember right. So if you could say that's growing up, just a few years when I was young, in my formative years anyway.
Now you're so far from Boring.
I am. Oh, thank you. That's so awesome. People in boring. She's giving you a shout out. She's using your town name in a pun. That's never been done before. That's awesome. After 15, I moved around a little bit all over the country, Spain a little bit. Um, but
Wow.
I still came back to the Portland area. This is the area that I love. This is the area that I missed when I was in other places around the world, remembering the smells in fall. Remembering how even though it's raining, it can still be beautiful outside. Other
Yeah.
places don't seem to have that.
No. In Oregon, you need to know the definition of petrochlor.
Ooh, what is that? It sounds
That's
tasty.
it. Remember the musical group Petra?
Yes.
Nothing to do with that. So it's the smell of rain right after it rains. The minute
Oh,
it rains,
cool.
you get the smell.
It's the smell of everything being washed clean.
Yes.
Nice,
That's
nice. I wish my bathroom smelled like that.
yes. Yeah, that would be a good vagina candle.
Oh my God. It's all people, you hear it. Vagina candle with fresh, clean scent. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Why be a douchebag if you can have a douche candle?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the
Febreze,
tagline.
Febreze and Summer's Eve could work together.
Yes.
Febreze,
So
Summer's Ease. That's it. Summer's Ease.
summer's what?
Summer's Ease. When you
Yes.
combine Summer Breeze and Febreze together.
Yes.
Summer's Ease. Oh, anyway.
So in Portland, JT,
Yeah.
the comedy scene really hasn't opened up yet. Like the clubs.
Not, I'm really probably not the best person to ask about this. Bless you. Because I've I've been what's the word I'm trying to think of? I've been milking this hiatus. um, our idea, I'm sure people have probably said this all over the world. Our idea of normal has changed, which means that our usually allotted free time has kind of changed. People's schedules are somewhat different, so I don't really find that my old schedule of going out to do comedy on the nights that I was and at the places that I was, it doesn't work for me right now. So I've been just enjoying staying hibernating and writing new material, refining old stuff, um, getting ready to get back out there. But I'm sure that there are clubs and bars that are open, and a lot of our great comedians in Portland that are out there doing what they do because they can't stop. It's in their blood. They have to do it. Um,
Yes.
and I envy that. I guess it's kind of bittersweet having that bug where you have to do it. Um, I'm trying not to get a bug. I'm trying to stay safe and keep my family safe. So I'm staying in whenever I can.
Yes. I'm I'm gonna go out to comedy tonight only
Cool.
because it's a great big huge building.
Uh-huh.
Great, you're never in a small area.
Nice. That's
It-
that's good to look for. Absolutely.
yeah. And they really go with the social distancing and the masking, so they're not
Mhm.
faking it. Really
Absolutely. That's
do.
good. That's good. One person
Yeah.
to throw him out there, Todd Oregano, also goes by Todd Basil. He is. I know that he and I believe Ryan. I'm sorry, Ryan Bjorn Gorman. I believe that they're still doing hosting a show together. They were doing the Dueling Beardos show at the Blank Slate up until when COVID happened. I'm not sure where they're at now, but I do remember seeing pictures on Todd's Facebook wall recently. So I know that they're still active. So if you
What's
guys want
Ryan's last name?
Bjorn Gorman. No, no, I'm messing it up. I always do that to him. So sorry. Bjorn Ryan Gorman.
Bjorn Ryan Gorman. Okay.
I'm probably
Wonderful.
messing that up too. He's like,
That's
damn it,
okay.
JT,
I'll
you idiot.
find. If it's meant to be, I'll find him.
Ryan,
Here's to
it's
the coffee.
right. It's Ryan. It's Ryan Bjorn Gorman. Jeez.
Awesome. So, talk to me about you've been busy during quarantine. Talk to me about what you've been busy doing. You have a family. How many children do you have and what ages and sexes? Do you know what sex they are yet?
Yes, I do, and her does as well. Um, a lot of times in my comedy, I'll stretch the truth and talk about children that don't exist. Like I'll say I'm a family man. I love my wife. I love my daughter. My son, not so much. Um, but I can say that because he doesn't even exist. I just have one kid. Have an 11-year-old girl named Angel. She is really just the joy of our lives. She's absolutely awesome and a chip off the old block. Um, one way that she is. When she was in second grade, just about to move into third grade, they said that they were going to do a talent show. I asked her, "What do you want to do for your talent?" She says, "Dad, I want to be a comedian. Write me some jokes, will you?" It's like, oh my God, yes, that's awesome. So I took a story joke that I had and reworked it so it would be good for her audience. And of course, she didn't memorize it; she read it off the paper, but she read it with good timing, good delivery. They laughed in all the parts that she was hoping that they would laugh at. At the end, it had a good moral, a PSA for the more you know, kind of a thing. And one girl, oh, so cute. One little second grader told her at the end, "That was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my whole entire life." It's cute when little kids say things so extreme like that.
I love that.
And
Innocent.
yes, and so she took that, put that feather in her cap, and grew from it. And she loves to make people laugh today, and it's important now. So many, I don't know if people are aware, but I've heard and seen a lot of kids have been really negatively emotionally impacted by the changes in the quarantining. A lot of kids are really depressed, and so my daughter is out there as a beacon, just a huge rubber chicken to make people laugh.
Oh, that's awesome. Does she entertain you at home? Like, do you have nights where she gets up in front of the family and does skits or?
Those are actually things that we just do in normal conversation every day. But we do a lot of performing and creating with each other. Her main thing that she loves to do is she likes to draw cartoons, create characters. She's way into anime and gaming and such. But as far as performing, probably the funnest way that we perform together is we play Cards Against Humanity in my house. But we take out all the really, really super bad cards, all the the racist ones and the sexual ones, and of course all the ones with the bad words. But we leave in like a damn or a hell, or I left in a word that said kick ass one time, or whip ass or something like that. She was like, Dad, there's a card in here that shouldn't be here. But yeah, we have a whole lot of fun with that. We expand our comedic funny bones.
Oh, that's so
That sounds
great.
disgusting, dude.
I don't even know what Cards Against Humanity is.
Oh, you're not missing much. No, it's the greatest game ever. So to just try to summarize it, it's a horrible game for horrible people. I think that's even the tagline on the box. But Cards Against Humanity, you start off by asking who pooped last, uh, and that person starts off by reading a card with a question or a statement on it. In that question or a statement is a blank. You fill in the blank with one of the many cards that you're holding in your hand. All basically punchlines. Um, and so anybody who even uh, doesn't have a sense of humor can now gain a sense of humor through osmosis because they're holding these extremely funny cards, 10 of them in their hand, and they get to try and be the one that the person who read the question or statement chooses. And it just basically comes down to whichever one you like the best. If it makes you fun, makes you laugh, if it makes you come, whatever it is, whatever draws you to that card, then that's the winner. And I actually played this. I played this one time with a woman who was I think she was a first grade school teacher, and acted like the stereotypical school marm. And she was so appalled at the statements that were on her cards, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't even put this card down, let alone say it." And so when it came her turn to choose which cards were the winners, she always chose the ones that were either the most grammatically correct or that were completely not racy and adult centered at all. Like if it said the cat is orange, oh, I like that one. That's the one. What? So that's one of the great things about the game. It helps to know who you're playing for. Like my wife, if she's the one who's card and I'm throwing cards out there for her to try and hopefully she'll choose mine. I know which keywords really set her off. Anything that has to do with the color purple or whales or Kentucky Fried Chicken or God or anything. These are all things that I'm like, yeah, she'll choose mine. All right, I'm winning this game. But she always tends to win. How does that happen?
Gosh. Now, you hold down a day job besides comedy, I'm assuming, correct?
I do. I do. Um, can I tell you a quick funny story that's kind of centered around that?
Yeah.
Pardon me. Recently, my wife and I were in the right place in the right time to be able to interview to be contestants or audience members and contestants on the game show Let's Make a Deal.
Nice.
Yeah, and so of course I was thinking all the normal thoughts that somebody would think. I get to hopefully be on a game show, but then I was also thinking, hey, I could plug myself. This would be really cool to be able to tell America when they say, hey, what do you do for a living? I'm a voice actor. And what do you do for fun? Well, I'm a stand-up comic and a disc jockey. That's awesome. Um, but when we were doing the interview, the guy said, JT, do you have any other forms of income, like a paper route or, do you mow lawns or anything? I said, well, my primary job is I work for a bank, nationally one of the big banks. It's been my bread and butter for about 14 years or so. He goes, that's it. Say that and only that, because otherwise they won't choose you because they don't want you plugging yourself. Oh,
Oh.
okay. So yeah, that's my primary job. I work for a bank. I work in the operations side of it, the inner workings. In a nutshell, anytime that somebody wants something, their home equity account with this bank, it in some way it goes through my department. Um, it's fun. It's really kind of a uh, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a mindless job because it's not a mindless job at all. It takes a whole lot of thinking, but it's a lot of repetition. It's doing basically the same thing every day. And
So
so
you
having
work in a loan department?
yeah, we do work on home equity loans, yeah. And so having something that is stable like that, that doesn't change a whole lot, that helps me to be able to compartmentalize my 8 hours at work, set that aside when I'm done, and then get right into other things that interest me: family, comedy, voice acting.
Yes. Do you remember me saying in Portland at Harvey's that I was a banker?
Yeah, yeah, I know. Used to we have a lot of very similar things in our background, with the military, banking, and all sorts of great stuff. That's cool.
Remind me of your military.
Well, I used to be in the Air Force. I did my 4 years in the Air Force down in Florida, at Field Air Force Base. And
Thank you for your service.
immediately, well, thank you. I appreciate that. One of the best things about it was that it put me right in the place to meet my wife. About a week after I left the Air Force, I started my career as a DJ, and I met my wife in a bar. I was DJing, and she was a cocktail waitress. And
Wow.
if I hadn't have been in Florida to begin with, then we never would have even met. Would have been a different life, and I don't want that. This is awesome.
Yeah. So how many years have you been with your wife?
She and I have been together. Oh, I know I'm going to mess up now. Uh, I mean, if you want to see an argument, if you want to see some people get mad at each other, ask me that question in front of my wife. I would probably say something like uh 21 years together, I think, and she would say no, 221. So yeah, we've been together, I believe, 21 years for 17. No, math doesn't work out. So 22 years together, married for 17. That's right. Something
Wow.
like that. But she really is. She's my soulmate. This is true love. It feels good. It feels good for our daughter to see that, to grow up knowing that her parents are soulmates and in true love.
That's awesome. That's a great way to raise a child.
Well, you betcha.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wasn't able to provide that for my daughter, but
Sorry
hats
to hear
off
that.
to you. Yeah, it's true. So, yeah, I was the mother and the father because the dad didn't decide to come home at night.
I got you. That must have been really tough. I mean,
Yeah,
to
well,
say the least.
at the time, I thought about homicide or suicide, and then divorce seemed like I wasn't for divorce, but it sure seemed like a better option.
Right? Nobody has to die.
Yeah, The relationship died. That was bad enough.
Homicide, suicide, relationship guide. Nice.
Yes, yes, there we go. So, talk to me about these bits you've been writing during COVID, with
Oh,
or
I've been
without the help of your daughter.
yeah, right. I've been having a whole lot of fun, and I don't know. I don't know how many other comedians do this, but I constantly keep a running notepad on my phone. It fills up, and I open a new one. Fills up, open a new one. I'm just every day. I'm coding things that I think might be funny. Either maybe they're full bits that I'm able to conceive from start to finish, or just an idea like maybe consider using or remember this bit that you wrote a couple of years ago, refine it to do this instead or something like that. um, I can't help that.
Yes.
That's something
I'm
I've been
always,
doing for
I
years.
was writing, the hour before I signed on, I was writing stuff, going through notes and going, yeah, I feel like writing about that now.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I gotcha. I gotcha. um, a lot of my writing also comes from personal experiences. I find that life can be one of the funniest things that you can experience. Oh, that sounds stupid, but um,
True.
so a lot of what I do on stage is telling stories of funny stuff that's happened to me. And one thing that I really enjoy about being a gives you the license to lie. If that's what you choose to do, you can tell a story that's completely untrue. Hopefully, they'll laugh to make it worth you're going to hell for sinning. But um, and I don't do that very often. Usually, you can tell if I'm lying in a story because it's completely absurd. If it's just funny and believable, then oh, okay, that crazy shit actually happened to him. Um, we were talking about the let's make a deal thing earlier. There were so many funny things that happened in that. Um, I don't know if you recall. I think it was probably our last interview that we did, or the interview before that. I was talking about how because my wife and I are so much alike, we have a saying, and I messed it up here on your show, and I also messed it up in the interview for Let's Make a Deal. I was trying to concentrate too much on softening up the words and not saying uh, that my wife is JT with tits and I'm Elisa with a cock. I was trying not to say those words, and so it ended up coming out. My wife is JT with a penis, and I'm Elisa with boobs. Wait, no, God. And unfortunately, I've experienced stuff like that on stage too. No. Another thing that I thought was kind of funny was when we were all done with this interview, and it looked like there was probably a good chance that they were going to choose us. Um, the guy said, "Okay, JT, we just need to get some sound. Can you tell us real quick, a lot of enthusiasm, how much you love the show?" Now, again, this was Let's Make a Deal. I do like the show. Of course, I do. I mean, who doesn't? It's a mindless game show. But I don't recall ever in my life saying the phrase "Let's make a deal." It's not fresh on my mind. Um, but I do know that when I was young, when I really started to learn about comedy, I used to enjoy listening to Cheech and Chong, among other comics, Kinnison and Pryor and Cosby and all them. Um, but Cheech and Chong had a sketch that they called "Let's Make a Dope Deal." So that's the only thing that was fresh on my mind. And so when they said, "JT, how much do you love the show?" I said, "I love Let's Make a Deal." Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. We didn't catch that. What did you say? I said, "I love Let's Make a Deal." Oh.
Oh.
So they probably won't call us, but I hope I didn't tank it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Hilarious.
Oh man, thank you.
Did you watch the show taping, or was it just going and trying
Oh,
out to
sorry.
be?
Oh, gotcha. I think I caught most of that. It paused for a moment there. No, there wasn't anything for us to watch, really. We were just doing, it was actually a Zoom interview just like this. And the guy was asking us questions about ourselves to basically pick out the unique people, the fun, exuberant people that would be good for the show, but who aren't going to plug themselves if they're self-employed.
So who's the host of Let's Make a Deal? I always get Drew and Wayne Brady mixed up.
Yeah, this one is Wayne Brady. Yeah, he's awesome.
Did I,
He's absolutely awesome.
did I tell you about the time I went and got in to watch it in LA?
No, that must have been a lot of fun.
I was it was eye-opening. Okay, so when you actually there for a taping, you have to go through all these checkpoints where all the Let's Make a Deal people make you know the rules over and over and over. This is before COVID, right? And so they have you at table one, here's your name tag, here's your blah, 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 Okay, now, whatever you do, don't piss off Wayne Brady. Oh, okay. And here's how you piss him off by trying to negotiate. If he gives you a gift, you don't get to negotiate it. Don't let him know you're disappointed. Don't ask for anything different or anything better. Don't be disappointed. And they tell us this 5 or 6 times before you go into the taping. So, you're getting the drift that he's kind of a loose cannon,
Right.
and you don't want to trigger him. So we go in, sit down, they start rolling the tape. First contestant goes up. What's this guy do? He tries to bargain what gift he's going to get. So Wayne Brady goes off on him like PTSD style. And the guy says, well, I was hoping for, Wayne goes, well, we all know that shit ain't going to happen.
That's great.
Stop the tape. We're taking a break. We got to go give him some injection in the back room. He comes back out 15 minutes later like he's had a lobotomy.
Completely different story, huh? Nice.
It's so funny.
Did they air that part of it?
No, they took it
Of course
out.
not. Yeah.
You never see that part of him, but he's got a short, he'll flip a switch on you if you try that.
It's funny. Dave Chappelle made mention of that too.
He did?
I don't know if you ever ran to the Chappelle show when it was on TV, but one of the sketches that he had was he was hanging out with, America's sweetheart Wayne Brady, who turns out to be this bad boy, who in one part of the sketch says to him, "Is Wayne Brady going to have much?"
Oh, then later he came out publicly that he's had trouble with depression. And
Oh,
then,
really?
yes, and then he's sought help, and he's a different person now. But this was
Cool.
during a time when he was really struggling with coping.
Depressed and self-loathing.
Yeah. A lot of people know Julia Roberts for being America's sweetheart on camera.
Uh-huh.
But I know people that knew her when she was having trouble coping with her newfound fame, and she was not nice. And she makes Wayne Brady look like Mother Teresa.
That's funny.
So let's talk about what kind of, tell me, you've got love means ignoring each other and your dad was lazy. Those sound so interesting, of the bits you mentioned.
Just some things that I've been thinking about earlier, like and especially during COVID quarantining, discovering what love means. I've found that love means ignoring each other. Because if you're right in each other's space, there's going to be at some point as humans when something's going to rub you raw. It's going to rub you the wrong way. So if you just be prepared to ignore each other.
Healthy.
um, yes, absolutely. Men and women communicate differently. My wife says plenty more words throughout a day, or I should say plenty more words throughout an hour than I would say throughout a day. We think and communicate differently. So if I am prepared to do something that I usually don't like to do, which is ignore somebody, if I half ignore a quarter of what she's saying, there we go, then I'm able to maintain my sanity. I may miss some things along the way, but she'll probably agree that not everything is all that important. She just sometimes likes to voice her thoughts. I'm a little bit more reserved with my thoughts, except if it's something that I think is funny. then I'll just blurt it out, you know, and um, appropriateness be damned. And hopefully it's a good enough situation, and the backlash isn't as weighty as the comedy side of it. So my wife ignores me in those situations. She even says to my daughter when I say something stupid, my daughter's like, what? She's like, honey, why do you even answer him? Just ignore him. uh, I was with my cousin Jim. You know my cousin Jim. You met him at the
Yes.
airport a couple years. That's good that you remember. Right on. I was with him one time, and one of his coworkers was asking if I was interested in getting into sales. He says, "You've got that Type A personality, or that I might say, I'm not sure if it's a Type A, but a kind of personality for it." And I was like, "Oh no, I think my personality is more like why." Good ask my wife. Jim said to tell you hello, by the way.
Thank you. Tell him hello and my best to him.
Hello, Jim. Her best to you. Okay.
That was fun meeting him at the airport. I
Right
couldn't
on.
believe it. He's like,
Small
I
world
know.
we live in.
Yeah, he says, I know somebody that does comedy. And then later he tells me it's you. And I'm like, of all the people.
Right?
Yeah, I'll never forget the time that we were both filling in for Hijinks, hosting his mic when he was gone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun night. That was a great experience.
So many comics, one right after the other. It's like,
Absolutely.
it was
And
good.
even a few from out of town. Like that was the night that we met Jason Acevedo,
Yes.
who was just such a crowd favorite that night. And from following him on Facebook, I see that he's always a favorite everywhere he goes. He's lovable.
He is. I
Yeah.
love it when he shows his tattoo on his stomach and sings.
Right.
He's
Triple
crazy.
threat guy.
Yeah, triple threat. So what would you like to talk about besides this? Because that's all I had is that what you've been doing. Oh, you've been doing voiceover.
Uh-huh.
Talk to me about your voiceover stuff that you enjoy.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. If anybody has ever, oh, sure, absolutely. If anyone has ever uh, been interested in a second job, or maybe a hobby, or something that you would want to branch off and grow into an actual career, this is the way to do it, man. I'm telling you, especially right now when a lot of things are done remotely. People need a voice for things, um, from ranging from exciting things to mundane things. There's a need for voices. Um, I'm the kind of guy that if there's ever something that I think is beyond my reach, I'm going to try and make it within my reach. I'm going to try and set goals to attain things that I don't think I can attain. And I think we talked about this once before, where when I was younger, I wanted to be a DJ, and the voice in my head said, "You can't do that. You got to have a real job. You can't be a DJ. That's not a job." And then once I conquered that one, there was the voice in my head that said, "You can't do comedy. You're not funny. You can't do what those guys do. Plus, if you do it, you'll wring all the fun out of it. You'll overtech it, and it won't be good anymore." Well, I said, "Screw you, voice. I'm going to do it," and I really enjoy doing it. Same thing with voice acting. It's something that I've always wanted to do. When I was a kid, I wanted to do voices on cartoons and video games and things like that. But now the world of it has expanded so much. The applications are limitless, pretty much. Um, and so that was something that also people similar to being a comedian, when they're like, "You should try stand-up comedy." Oh, loved when people would say that. And people also said, "You should do voiceover because you have a good voice for it." And that feels good to hear. So it helped to give me encouragement and confidence to get out there and try it. Um, I started off doing that by going to a class where somebody was giving an introduction to voice acting, what it's all about, how to break into it the correct way. And she also told us in this 40-minute class, if you don't have the stuff, and if you can take hearing it, I'm going to tell you, don't waste your time.
Wow, that's
And
a
by the end of the class, when it came time for her to yeah, when it came time for her to evaluate people, there were some people that she was like, "Look, please don't take this wrong, but I don't think you should do this. This isn't a thing for you." And some other people where she was like, "Yeah, yeah, you really have something there. You should probably cultivate that." She pointed at me and said, "No brainer. I want to see you at my master class, and I'm going to send you information for this link so you can get started on this right away." So that felt really good too. That the expert said out of the class of people, "You're the one that I want to see do this." So again, that gave me more
Wow,
confidence, more encouragement,
that's
and
wonderful.
it's really super eating. It is basically just talking. And I thought that it was going to be talking, performing talking, putting on a voice, especially the announcer voice or something like that. But no, that's not what they want. They want people to be as natural and organic as possible, which you might notice on radio commercials now. It's not always, come down to the Toyota sales event. It's like, hey, there's a sale going on at Toyota. Let's go down and check it out. That's
Wow, I didn't know
how a lot of
this.
the voices are on radio now because people can relate to that easier. Yeah. So it's definitely a lot of fun. I mentioned my daughter earlier and her performing bug that she has in her. I'm also hoping that this is something that she can do as well. And it's something that I want to get her started in sooner than later because there are so many, oh my gosh, there's so many cartoons, so many movies where kids' voices are needed. Where do they get those kids from? If their parents didn't say, "Hey, let's put you in this this opportunity and see how you do. And you did great on that. Let's try this next one." So I really think that I want to get her started on that soon, if I can get her off the video games.
That's great. Are you presently taking any comedy or improv classes, or are you a student of it, or do you just do the stage time?
Yeah,
I don't
just
I I don't do classes to get anywhere faster. I just do it to meet people and to practice in a safe environment away from an open mic.
sure, sure, I gotcha. Um, no, actually, I've never taken a class. I thought about it though. There were some great comics who I knew were putting on classes, um, like at the Brody. Remember when the Brody was alive and active? They had some great comedy classes going on out there and improv classes. Um, but it's just something that I had never tried to work into my time. Um, a lot of the time that I have for putting into comedy. Um, it has to take a back seat. It's a lower priority than the time for my family and for my primary job. So unfortunately, the pecking order puts it so that I get less time for it than a career comic would want to have, and for doing classes. But I suppose if it was more important to me, if it was more of a priority, then I would make time for it. Uh, but no, I'm just happy and what's the word I'm looking for? Honored being in the industry. Yeah, I'm just happy to be in it. Yeah,
So
just
in
like
the,
just like voice acting. If anybody ever wanted to try comedy, if anybody's out there is like, I don't know if I could do that. Look at me. You could be funnier than me. Give it a shot.
when you're doing comedy and somebody comes off stage and you notice something they could do better, do you ever mention it to them, or do you
Ooh,
wait for them to ask you?
that is a good question. Um, there are there are a few instances where somebody is actually going to ask you. I mean, sure, they might. If your buddy maybe tried a bit with you before the show, and he'll come back out and say, "Hey, how'd that go that time?" Something like that. That's pretty common. But just come up and say, "Hey, do you have any tips on the performance that I feel good about?" Or or something like that. Usually, it doesn't happen. So then that leaves you with the question of, I noticed something that I think they would want to hear. Do I tell them or
Yes.
not? Uh, Most of the time, I don't. And I think that comes down to me thinking everybody's got an opinion. Um, that person put their time and effort and their own personality and being into writing that joke or that bit. Sure, maybe it could benefit a little bit from the pointer that I think they would want to hear. But what about the experience of hearing that pointer? Are they the type of person who can take it constructively, or are they forever going to look at me as the guy who thinks he's better than them? Usually I would just err on the side of caution and say, no, I'm just going to keep it to myself. But there
Yeah.
have been times when, say there's somebody that I'm really close to, and like I said before, if we talked about the bit before they do the performance, and I'm like, dude, that was great. I think it's awesome that you included this part. Maybe try this one that you were thinking about a little bit differently. Usually, if you already have that rapport, if you have that foundation, then they welcome your feedback, and just as you would welcome theirs. That's something that's really invaluable to have with a comedic
Now you seem like a compassionate
relationship,
guy from
most definitely.
what I've
There was one time.
noticed.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that. There was one time, I don't know if this is going to demonstrate compassion, that I felt completely free in giving a note to a guy from out of town. I think he was from Michigan, or some far off place. And when he was in this one part of a bit, I thought it would be better if he had said this instead of what he said. So there, I'm not just saying, "Hey, you did really good. Maybe tweak it this way." I'm saying, no, cross that word out and use this one instead because I think it's funnier. That I think is really that's a bolder step to take with somebody, and you're really risking that they might not like it at all. But I figured, hey, he's from out of town. I'll never see him again. So, so I told him, and he received it well. I was pleasantly surprised that he wasn't like, "Yeah, screw you. What do you know?" He was like, "Oh, dude, that is funnier. I think I'll try that and see how it works."
When I've been in New York 2 or 3 times, I go to Comic Strip Live because they have a room called the Gladys Simon
Oh,
Room.
awesome.
Everybody has to give each other input after.
Oh, cool.
It's expected. So you're standing around talking to each other afterward, and everybody has something to say to somebody else. You come away with so many ideas, and you go there knowing, you're going to get hammered, good or bad, afterwards. And it's awesome. It's really, and they try to make it all positive.
Sure, sure. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that. I
Very
like it.
cool.
Yeah. So what do you want to say? I'm going to give you up to another 5 minutes to say anything you want.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. The audio cut out. What'd you say?
I'm going to give you the rest of this hour, another 5 minutes or so. We got cut short because of technical, but I need to get off of here. But would you mind saying anything you want to anybody who's going to listen to this? What you want them to know about you, family life, comedy life, your goals, what you're trying to do before you die, if you plan to die. I don't know. Maybe you don't plan to die. I do plan to die sooner than you.
I just want to spread as much joy, positivity, and encouragement as I can while I'm here, and kind of laced into that a little bit of horror and misappropriateness, or things that would make you be like, "What the hell did you just say?" I like to do that a little bit and shake people up. But mainly, I want to help people to find the lighter side of life. Not to get bogged down with all the worries. There's so many things that you could worry about if you choose to, but it's just so much easier if you don't. Let somebody
You're
else worry about it.
you are
uh,
one of those
uh,
guys that spreads joy.
I do. Thank you. Thank you. It's because it's within me. It's what I have to spread. I suppose if I was bitter inside, I would be spreading bitterness. So thankfully, I'm not bitter. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm very absolutely thankful for that. One thing I was thinking of a little bit ago about all the worries of COVID. Recently, I was camping with my family and with some other families, and we knew that we were all going to be getting together and trying to stay socially distant. So somebody had the great idea of using color-coded comfort level wristbands. Green meant hug me. Yellow meant I'm trying to stay cautious, so please keep 6 feet away. And red means I don't even want to be in the same forest as you. Stay away. Uh, uh, everybody was somebody was wearing a yellow one on their right, somebody was wearing a red one on their left. I decided to do it all. I wore a yellow one on my right and a red one on my left, and I told people, guess where the Of course, the people who were handing out the bracelets were kind of curious why I would need a toddler-sized green one, but it worked for me. It was a lot of fun. Um, you had mentioned one thing earlier. This is completely off topic. This is how I segue. By the way, no, you had mentioned earlier some of the bits that I was working on, and you mentioned dad was lazy. That was one of the things that I was thinking about kind of recently. How just a quick thought about how lazy my dad was. I mean, like he would tell me to go out in the backyard and pick up the piles of poop, and I'm like, man, we don't even own a dog, dude. That's nasty and lazy. Jeez. Uh, I like having fun with words. You and I were talking about that earlier on. We love wordplay and puns. And I think one thing that I really enjoy is when people don't know words, when they're using words wrong, or when I don't know a word and I end up using it wrong. Well, case in point, wow, this is really reaching back. Third grade, here we go. Third grade, I was in Abilene, Texas, and in our math class, we were working on our times tables, and a lot of it wasn't making sense to me. I was a late bloomer, I guess, and the teacher took me aside with their southern accent, and she told me that I'm doing good, or I seem to be doing good on my ones and twos and threes, fours and fives, but when we get up past the fives, then I'm not quite sure that I get it. And she says, so you obviously understand this much. So how much do you lack? I said, how much do I lack? Recess, lunchtime is fun. Uh, I'm kind of cool with history, but I don't lack math at all. Can I just do the ones that I lack? She didn't like that very much.
I love wordplay so
Now
much.
you've you used to live in the South at one point, didn't you?
Yes, I
Where was
lived
that
in
at?
Florida and twice in Florida,
What part of Florida?
Vero Beach and
Oh,
Fort.
oh, nice. Those are both down south. Right on. Very cool.
Yeah.
Myself, the time that I did in Florida was up in faux Florida, or I guess what Florida is mainly known for now, up in the Panhandle, in the Redneck Riviera, or L.A., Lower Alabama. Uh, it's a different breed of people up there. They're all crazy, every last one of them, and most of them have too much money and no idea what to do with it besides buy things that make them go woo. There was one time I was on a friend's boat. I'll try and shorten this because I know our time is coming short. I was on a friend's boat all alone and in the bay in Florida, with nothing to no oars, no paddles, no nothing to help me with moving this boat except where the current was taking me. And so I got the bright idea to grab. There was a pool noodle on board and this weird coily wristband thing with like a bottle cap looking thing on it. So I used that to tie the pool noodle to my wrist. And I stood up on the driver's seat of the boat and I was honking out SOS on the horn and waving this pool noodle over my head as high and frantically as I could. And rednecks were riding by on their wave. Party on! I'm like, no, this isn't fun. I'm honking out SOS. I later found out that I was actually honking out OSO, which means absolutely nothing. So I can't blame them for their lack of nautical knowledge. uh, to try and make a long story short, there's a lot of funny stuff that happened this day, but long story short, I actually had the key to the boat on board the entire time. It was that weird coily wristband thing with the strange bottle cap looking device on it. That was the key to this jet boat, and I could have driven it back to the dock anytime instead of being out there baking in the sun.
That's hysterical. And that's all 100% true?
Oh, I'm sorry. Cut out.
Is that all true?
It is absolutely all true. In fact, again, there's a lot more funny parts. You can read them in my book in chapter 40. No, I'm kidding. There are a lot of funny parts to that story. Maybe we'll talk about it again some other time. I also have a lot
I
of military stories that I want to share with you too.
Oh, you got to come back and tell me military
Will
stories.
do, will do. It may come as a surprise, but military people can be crazy and reckless. I don't know if you
They
knew.
can.
I'm sure you have a lot of good stories to share too.
Yeah, we should do a thing where you come on, you tell a story, I tell a story, you tell a story, I tell a story until we're exhausted.
I love it. That sounds awesome. We'll volley back and forth until we're spent.
Okay, let's do that. Let's book it. I'll
Right on.
send you a date and time and you say no or yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye, JT.
Bye,
Thank
Linda,
you.
and all your viewers. Love you. Bye.
JT Davis, you guys, Portland, Oregon. Book him. Bye. Love you lots.